So, it looks like we have someone joining us here.
Beautiful.
And they'll just need to do the same thing. I don't know if you want to maybe add that as a comment in the post you made to your group, but to join, they'll have to turn on their audio. They can be muted once they come in, but they have to turn on the audio to be able to hear anything.
Yeah, I'm sure they should be fine because they're all virtual assistants, so they're pretty switched on, but I'll pop that in there. Anyway, just do that now. Okay. So that's Elsa that's just joined. So hopefully she hears us. Beautiful.
Yeah. So to make the most, because we do have, now we have 40 minutes on the call. What did you, want to, what were your goals for the call today? What did you want to go over?
So today, oh great, Elsa, cool. So today, basically I do a lot of training with virtual assistants, and they're often asking about Dubsado because, it's one of the ones that I recommend for them. But when it doesn't have everything that I need for running a membership, excuse me, business, but it's awesome for virtual assistants. So a lot has changed since I last really got into it to use it. So rather than me fumbling my way through showing them how it works, basically just wanted someone who knows what they're talking about to show them how they can use it for their virtual assistant business, and what sort of features it has.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dubsado is a great choice for virtual assistants running their own businesses and working one-on-one with clients. That's where Dubsado really shines, is working one-on-one with clients. This is not a replacement for, an email marketing system. Like you mentioned, it's not, really suitable for running, a dedicated membership area or site, but it is most excellent for, working one-on-one with clients, having contracts signed, proposals agreed to, invoices paid, and now even appointments can be scheduled with Dubsado. We just released our scheduler. So there's a lot you can do working one-on-one with the clients. I think one of the places I'll start, and first off, when you log in, you have a dashboard right here. So you can, take a look at, financial goals that you have going on, see any open invoices, get a little, notification as to, what payments you're awaiting and any contracts you need to sign. You can sync external calendars with Dubsado. So if you do that, you'll see events from your external calendar show up here in the calendar overview. You can also create tasks inside of Dubsado. So as you create tasks that have due dates or are assigned to you, they will show up right here on the dashboard. So it's very easy to kind of manage, tasks throughout projects. So it kind of, eliminates the need to use an external task management system like Asana or Trello. You'll also kind of see a little financial overview going on down here as well. So this is, kind of the main area you'll see when you log into your account. Dubsado runs off of using the idea of projects. So I know with VAs, sometimes it's more common to, work with them on like a client basis. So in those cases, we recommend, you can either designate, you can either name a project after a client name. There's no reason you can't have one project per client. Or, if you have, I generally say as a rule of thumb, it's a good idea to start a new project every time you sign a new contract with a client, or, have a completely different set of services with a completely different, invoice. Those are good indicators that it would be nice to start a new project. So essentially in Dubsado, the project is the client communication hub. We have an address book, over here under utilities, an address book where all of your client information will be stored, just like if you went into your contacts on your phone. But really all of the communication is going to be taking place through a project. We have also the ability to separate projects into leads and jobs. So we have statuses across the top here, and you can create your own statuses as well to kind of mirror your process. So a good example of this, I actually have this help file pulled up here. A great example is creating project statuses that mirror the process that you follow with your clients. So you can track, who you've had a call with, who's just made an initial inquiry, who you're waiting on a payment from, and then, all the way into the, where you're at in their job. So you can really customize this to fit your business and your process. If I click into a project here, this is going to be the dashboard for that specific project. So like I said, it's the communication hub. This is where you're going to be sending everything from. So you'll see the client's information over here on the left-hand side. You'll be able to set dates for the project if there are any specific dates that you need to worry about there. You'll also be able to set up a portal for the client where they can log in and view any forms that you've sent, any invoices, and even a task board they can view if you've set that up for them. So just kind of running through across the top, we have the emails tab. This will show an inbox where you can send emails from Dubsado to your client. And what's great here is that right up here in the brand settings, this little gear icon, you are able to sync up your email address with Dubsado so that you can, anytime you send an email from Dubsado, it's coming from your email address. We want your branding to be at the forefront so you can completely white label the system in terms of what your clients are seeing. So if I click send email here, this will open up a draft of an email to be sent to whoever the client is on that project. And if you have your email connected in the settings, it will be coming from you. And then any emails, any direct replies to this email thread will also show up here in the inbox. So anytime someone replies directly to an email that started in Dubsado, you can keep track of it in the inbox here. Then we have the invoices. So as you add invoices to a project, you can add line items. And we don't seem to have any available here in your account, Rosie, but you can also create packages, preset packages that you could select from a drop-down right here and quickly generate an invoice. We have our forms, which I'll go over the templates momentarily, but this is a great way to both deliver information to your clients and have them give you information that you need to do a good job working with them. We also have an appointments tab. With the release of our scheduler, you can actually send a link to your client to schedule, an appointment time with you. If you need to do a consult with them or set up a meeting, this is a great way to do that. We also have workflows, and these are ways to automate your process. So this really setting up a workflow is kind of the last step of getting set up in Dubsado. This, kind of requires you to have your forms already in place, emails already ready to go, packages set up, etc. But once you have all of that content in Dubsado, you can actually build automated workflows that send those forms and emails out on a, kind of like a timed basis to the client. So that's a really great feature as well. Finally, we have some tasks. So this is where you can create tasks for the project itself, as well as job boards. These are going to look sort of like Trello boards. If you're familiar with Trello, with columns and tasks in the columns, these can be shared with the client. And then we have notes. So you can, add some notes on the job. and even call, date and time call logs if you've had a meeting with the client. So this is, kind of a basic introduction to, how communication works inside of Dubsado, and, the idea of using, a project for that communication. Are there any questions yet? Anything to kind of further clarify or think about?
No, that looks good at the moment. Probably the only thing is, can you add multiple people to a project?
You can add an alternate client as well. If I click on this pencil right here to edit the client, you can add an alternate contact. And if you add an alternate contact, this would, bring them up, I believe, as a CC recipient if you're sending an email directly from the project.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So with that, that kind of basic introduction to the project, I want to talk a little bit more about getting set up in Dubsado, because that's where the bulk of the work is going to take place. If you're, just creating your account and getting set up, and you're going to be spending a lot of time in this templates section right here. And one of the first things you'll want to do is set up your packages. So packages are really anything with a price point. It doesn't have to actually be a package of items. It can be a single line item. It can be a package of multiple line items. But creating a package is going to allow you to put it on an invoice or put it on a proposal. So I know sometimes VAs sell packages and numbers of hours that they're going to work per month or things like that. This is where you would kind of start setting that up. So if I click on Add Package, you're going to have the ability to start building some line items here. So if I just build quickly a sample package and we click on New Line Item, we can enter information for that line item. So the name, might be the name of the service, and you can write a description. You can put this on multiple lines and this will generate bullet points in the description. You can enter default quantity and a price as well. You can also add a tax if you need to tax on your services, and enter a category to keep track in accounting in Dubsado. So that's another thing you can do there. So if I add this line item, you'll see it appear in the package like this. So I'll just save that and exit, and we'll be able to see this throughout the rest of the program. The next thing you'll want to take a look at is the forms. So we have 5 different types of forms in Dubsado, and this is really kind of the heart of sending information to your clients. So we have our contracts, which are legally binding, and this allows both you and the client to sign. You also have the ability to add initial fields if they need to initial anything, and only one contract can be applied per job. If you need to add any additional legally binding agreements, you would add a sub-agreement. So this has all the same features as the contract form does, but it allows you can add more than one of these to a job. And we have questionnaires. So this allows you to collect additional information from the client. This is great for, asking about, maybe goals that they're looking to meet while working with you, or, certain things they need to have done, expectations. You can use a questionnaire for that. Also inside of a questionnaire, I'll just open this up to kind of show an example of how this works. You can include a file uploader element. And with the file uploader element, both you and the client can, once the questionnaire has been applied to a project, you can't do this in the template, you'll see it's grayed out here. But once the questionnaire has been sent to the client, they can click and actually upload files. So if you need to collect a Word document from them or an Excel sheet, they can upload that here. And you can do the same. You can upload files and have the client download the file from the questionnaire. going back out to the form templates. Then we have proposals. Proposals is how, using a proposal is how you're going to pitch your pricing to the client. So there's a couple of different ways that you can use proposals. If all of your work is, bespoke and you're creating custom quotes, you have the ability to actually display the items of an invoice that you've built on the proposal. So you can build it completely custom from scratch. Or if I actually, and this is a great time to show you the template library, so I can pull in a sample. We have a template library, and I do believe we have some sample forms specifically created for virtual assistants. So we do have some samples to take advantage of there. But if I pull in a sample proposal for you to take a look at, anything in the template library is free to use, and you can just copy it into your account. This is what a proposal could look like if you have, different pricing, different packages, maybe a bronze, silver, and gold package. You could have these here, and the client would actually be able to select a package, and that would generate an invoice based on their selections. So you can have, main packages and add-ons. These are all set up in the packages area first, and then, when the client receives the proposal, and they can make their selections, and it will generate an invoice, automatically, which is wonderful. So to do that, you'll just drag on a package element right here, and you'll see this is built using smart fields. So we have smart fields in Dubsado that are used to populate either client information, invoice information, links, and package information. You'll see smart fields throughout the system. So when I added the package element here, it gives me the option to select a package. So I'll select that sample that we created earlier. And you'll see here we have the smart field package name, and it's populating with sample package, which was the package name right here on the proposal. You can also populate the package total. We can populate other things too by going to smart field package, and then we have these options. So we could put in, item names and descriptions, and it will, pull up those bullet points we entered. So you can really customize the view of the package on your proposal. When adding a package, it will automatically display a select button. So this is what the client would click on to select that package. With proposals as well, we have a settings tab, and each form will have a settings tab like this. You have the option to actually show a contract and or an invoice along with the proposal. What's great about this, and it's one of the biggest things Dubsado is known for, is that when you send the proposal to a client from a single email and a single link inside of that email, the client can open the proposal, select their packages, and submit the proposal, sign the contract, and then pay their invoice, either in full or a deposit, either way that you set it up. So this, enabling these selections right here to show a contract and an invoice will really streamline that process for your clients of booking with you. It's something we're really proud of here, and really streamlines that process for you. So if we just save this, we can access it later. Back in the forms, we have one more type of form to talk about, and that is the lead capture form. So the lead capture form is very unique in that it actually is able to be embedded on your website, and this is the only type of form that someone who is not already in Dubsado can fill out, because when the form is filled out, it will actually add the person as a client and set up a project for them. So this is sort of going to replace your standard contact or inquiry form on your website. They could put in their first name, last name, email, maybe some comments, and when they submit this, they will be added in Dubsado as a client and set up with a project. And you have some options as to how that works. So you can choose, remember we talked about statuses, you can choose what status they come in as. So if you have an inquiry status, you might set that here. You can change you can edit the title that they come in with and actually use a client's smart field. So you could have the project come in already with their full name as the title of the project. You can also apply a workflow to start automatically. So if you set up a workflow, for instance, in its most simple form, just a workflow that sends automatically an email, right away. This, if you apply that workflow here, when the form is submitted, the workflow will start running on the project and send an automatic response, to whomever has submitted the form. So there's lots of options for using the lead capture form. When you've set it up as you like, you can click on the share button up in the top right, and we have an embed code right here that you can put on your website, or you can use a direct link, and this will just open up the form in a new page. So those are all of the types of forms we have in Dubsado. I'll stop again and see if we have any questions.
No questions from me. I'm loving it. It's yeah, I think this is so perfect for what the VAs need to make sure that it's going to take a little bit of that fear factor out as well for signing up new clients, because you've got those beautiful systems in place. I'm loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no questions from Elsa either. Great. I'm glad we can show you Dubsado in action. I actually, before I started working for Dubsado, I was actually a Dubsado user. I used it in my own business, doing web design for clients, and thought it was the coolest thing. And now I have the coolest job working for them. So with the forms, anytime you send a form to a client, it's going to go out in an email. The email will go out with a nice big button that's impossible to miss for the client to click on. And so it's important, as you develop your forms, that you're also developing some canned emails that you can send out with those forms. So canned emails are essentially just email templates. We do have some default templates here that are preloaded in the system that you can edit by clicking on Edit Templates and then choosing any of these options. You can also add your own new canned responses. So you can give it a title that's only for you to see, write your subject line, and then write the body of the email. So what I want to draw your attention to, as you create canned emails in Dubsado, you're going to want to be paying attention to using some smart fields. So one way you can do this is by using the smart fields to pull in the client's name. So we can pull in under client their first name, and this will automatically populate with that client information. Another thing to kind of stay aware of is different links that you may need to include. So anytime you're sending a form, you're actually choosing the form first, and then the email draft will pop up. So we need to include the right link variable in the form so that the link to the form will go out. So you can put in a link for the invoice, for the contract, for the client portal, their portal password. You can also put in a link to a form. In this case, with Dubsado sending just a form and an email, you can only send one form at a time, but you can instead upload a number of forms to the client portal and send them a single email with a link to their portal where they can access them all at once. But otherwise, you can add in one form here or a link to your scheduler template. So make sure as you're creating the canned emails for the different forms, whether it's a contract or a questionnaire or proposal, make sure that you're including the correct links in here. So with the canned emails, it's a good idea to kind of go through your your process in your business and think about what are the emails that you're sending all of the time. It doesn't just need to be a specific form. It could be a thank you email. It could be an auto response for your lead capture. Thanks for contacting me. It could be sorry, this isn't going to work out, or, yes, please book with me. Here's a link to my proposal. So, it's a good idea with almost anything you're setting up in Dubsado really to, review your process first on paper, and then come into the system and start, entering all of the content that you need. So that's about it in terms, no worries, Elsa, that is totally fine. You can absolutely watch the replay. Great to have had you on the call. That's most of the bulk of, setting up content in Dubsado. We do also have, once you have all of that content set up, you can start using workflows to send emails and forms, and that's a very powerful piece of the system. And the other thing to kind of take note of is the payment schedules. So this is if you're using a, if you want your client to make multiple payments. For instance, if you wanted 50% up front and 50% at the end, we can create a payment schedule that, has them pay on those dates. So the amount right here, you're going to want to add up to 100 ultimately, but the due date we can set, immediately once you've, applied the payment schedule to the invoice, and you can, set up due dates with, percentages of the total invoice to be paid on different days. The other thing you can do with a payment schedule is create payment reminders. So you don't even need a workflow to have automatic payment reminders go out. For instance, if you wanted not even a reminder, but for the invoice to automatically be sent, on the due date, you could set, a reminder send date of 0 days before the due date. And see, this is another example of where you're going to want a canned response ready to go to send the invoice. So you can choose an email that goes out on the due date, and I would make sure that it has that link to the invoice. So that's how it will look on your end. When the client receives this, there will be a button here that they can click on to access their invoice. So payment schedules are very powerful to set up, so that you can send out automatic payment reminders there. So I'll just come out of this. And I'll talk a little bit more about the workflows. Let's see if there's any good examples in particular. Most of these are for sending emails, but there are a number of actions you can do with a workflow. And we have all of these here. So remember those project statuses we talked about. You can actually have the workflow change the project status. You can have the workflow add a tag. We also have tags that you can use to organize your projects. You can send an email, send a form. You can create a to-do for yourself. A lot of these are sending content to the client. So send a contract or an invoice. You can have the workflow create an invoice for you. Also activate and deactivate the portal. You can also have the workflow pause at a certain point if you want to make sure that actions don't go out without certain approvals in place. You can also hold any actions without specific due dates. You can put a hold on those, or send out your appointment scheduler. So a good example of this is if you want someone to book you, making fill out the proposal contract, pay on the invoice, and then once they've paid, be able to book an appointment for a call with you. That would be a great way to do that. You can actually have the workflow watch for that invoice to be paid, and then send out an email with a link to schedule with you. So the workflows are very powerful, and my best advice is to start by entering all of your content first, and then start brainstorming your workflow to get that in here. So that's the best way to go about workflows. Everyone wants to start workflows right away, but they are really tough to build without having all of this content in place first. Yeah, so that's, our templates are super powerful and are a great way to, kind of have the onboarding process set up and ready to go for the client, really, so that, after this initial setup period, you can kind of run things on autopilot. Were there any, Rosie, did you have any questions or things to add at this point?
No, I'll just see where you go from here.
Yeah, so kind of talk through most of the setup. It's probably a good idea to cover a little bit of the settings as well, and we'll take a look at the client portal. So right up here on the top right-hand side is the gear icon, and this is your brand settings. And like I mentioned earlier, Dubsado is really focused on bringing your brand to the forefront and being able to use that throughout the system. So you can set your brand color. This is going to be the color of any of the buttons that we talked about that go out in those emails. You're going to, put in all of your brand information here. You can set up some customizations for the client portal, which I'll show you momentarily, but you can upload a banner image and, customize your colors. We have 3 really important tabs to take a look at, and because you're based in Australia, I'll make sure to cover this international settings tab as well. You'll want to make sure that under international settings, your time zone and locale are set correctly so that the date and currency output are correct. But the 3 most important tabs to set up are receive money. So this is where you're going to connect a payment processor, and we integrate with Stripe or Square and PayPal. So if you want your clients to be able to pay directly from an invoice, you're going to want to make sure that you've set up, a payment processor here. Otherwise, they won't be able to pay. Then we have the calendar settings. So like I mentioned on the dashboard, you have that area with the calendar overview. This is where you can sync an external calendar with Dubsado. And this is also really important for the scheduler, which I will also cover, because the scheduler is going to look at any calendars you have synced, and we'll actually be able to block off times if you have any conflicting events on your external calendar. So it's a good idea to sync up a calendar here. And finally, your emails. I mentioned connecting your email. So you'll want to sync up your email here so that emails going out of Dubsado can be sent from your account. Actually, yeah, let's take a look at the scheduler right now. So this is brand new. We just launched this last week. Working with the scheduler can replace things like Calendly or Acuity if you need to schedule appointments with your clients. And the scheduler, we have templates that work a lot like the forms that we just went through. So you're creating a template that you can then send to your clients. The scheduler can also be embedded on your website. So, this is another thing that you can put on your website and have clients book a call, right away with you and be brought into the system. So if I click on Add Template, it'll bring up a new template to fill out. You can choose the duration of the appointment. You can also choose, how the appointment will be scheduled. So a rolling day window would mean that dates would become available, for instance, every 30 days from today. You can set a fixed date range. So if you only want clients to be able to schedule calls with you for a period of 3 weeks, you could set that up here, a start and an end date. You can also have appointments be able to be scheduled indefinitely. So that's where you would set that here. You can also change your availability per day of the week. So just by clicking on any day of the week, you can change the available time slots. Clear it out if you're going to be adding some new time slots, but one way to do this, for instance, if you're available between 8 a.m. and 11:30 a.m., you can add that slot. And then you could add another slot of 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And you would have these 2 slots available. You can apply this only on a specific date or to all days of that type. So we could apply this to all Tuesdays, and that would update here. So my recommendation is, if you're building a scheduler template, build your availability as your baseline availability. Disregarding any possible vacations you have coming up or appointments on your calendar, build this out as the baseline. Then sync your calendar in the settings and block off, use events on your external calendar, and mark those events that you're busy in those time periods, and use those to block off any availability changes that pop up in your day-to-day. So use the scheduler template to set your baseline availability. Use your external calendar to set any changing availability. You'll have an option to have you show as either available or busy, when that's based on the appointment being booked. So if you don't want double bookings in the same time, you're going to want to have this show you as busy. That way, once an appointment slot is taken, it will not be available for another person to take. That's what would happen if you check show as available. You can put in a location for the event, and for VAs, a lot of times this is going to be a link to a call or a conference room. So you can put that link right in here. And you can also set up a canned email. So if you're sending the scheduler directly from a project to a client, this would be the email that sends the scheduler. You'll see, again, we have that Smart Field link right here with a link to the scheduler. You also have some advanced options to really customize the buffer time and how you want the time slots to display on the front end, how many appointments you want to allow per day or for the lifetime of the scheduler. And also really neat is you can actually attach a form to the scheduler. So if you want to use this on your website, a great thing to attach is a lead capture form. That way, when they schedule an appointment, they'll be set up with a project in Dubsado. You can also require an invoice, or require a deposit to secure the booking if you want the call to be paid, as well as set up notification emails. So let's see if I can just quickly make sure that I have some of these required fields filled in. I can actually open this up and show you what this will look like. And let's attach a lead capture form to take a look at that. Let's see, just checking here. I think we still have, the scheduler is still in beta. So if you do run into any issues using it, please give us a chat. But here we go. I've set up this template, and I can click on that little link icon there, and it will give me an embed code as well as a direct link to pull up. So if I just pull this up here, just to give you a preview of what it will look like for the client, they'll be able to see this and select a day and a time and go on and fill in your lead capture form. So this is a really powerful tool to kick off the onboarding process with your clients. So that's a great thing to take a look at. I think in the vein of sort of demonstrating things, is we've just got a couple minutes left here. I want to quickly just show a visual demonstration of what it looks like to have a proposal, contract, and invoice together, like I mentioned earlier. So I just brought in a contract template here, and I'm going to come over. Oops, let's make sure we have a proposal that I can work with. Yes, we have our proposal right here. And I'm going to select the contract that I want to go with this proposal. The process for, oops, let's make sure we save. The process for sending this to a client manually would be to go into that client's project and then go to the Forms tab and select the proposal you want to send. So I'll select this. It'll show me a preview. What's great about sending the proposal is once it's added to the project, you can actually, this is a fresh copy, you can make changes specific to this client, and it will not affect your master template. If I just click Add here, it'll give me some options across the top. I'll click Open, and this will show me a preview of what the client will see. So they'll be able to select packages. It will total at the bottom. The client will see a Submit button. We don't see one because we're logged in as the business owner. They'll be sent to the contract where they can fill this out right after submitting the proposal. And then they can continue on to the invoice. And the invoice will be populated as soon as the proposal is submitted. So the invoice is showing blank right now, but if the proposal were submitted, they would have that information right here where they could make a payment. So that's really neat. And then just to kind of demonstrate too, if you click Send, this will pop up the draft of the email that will go out, and you'll see that button that's being generated by the smart link right there. So that's most of our features in action. Did you have any other questions?
Yeah, that's very, very cool. In terms of your integrations, what sort of integrations do you have? Is it working with Zapier now?
Yes, we do integrate with Zapier. So if I come into the settings, we have our integrations tab here. So you can integrate with Zapier. If I just pull this up quickly, let's see. You can go to Zapier and then search for Dubsado, and you'll be able to view the available connections we have. Right now, Dubsado only allows for, we are only working as a trigger. So we can send information based on a lead capture form or a new payment to another application, but we cannot take information in from other applications at this time, but it's something we want to introduce with future updates. The other integrations we have are with CloudSpot, which is not very useful for VAs. I think this is for mostly photographers. This is a gallery application. And then we also integrate with QuickBooks Online. This is also a one-way sync. So if you integrate with QuickBooks Online, this will push any invoices and payments out to your QuickBooks account, but it won't be bringing them back into Dubsado. Those are the integrations we have for now.
Yeah, nice. Okay. And so with that initial contact with clients, it's either manually sending an email or creating a lead capture form that is connected to a workflow. Is that right? So they're the main ways to get people into the system?
Correct. So you'd either have them fill out a lead capture form. That's the easiest way to bring them into the system. But you can also bring someone in manually from the projects page by just clicking on New Project, and you'll be able to fill in their information, create a new client right here. And once you've got the project set up, you can send them an email through the project.
And so you can't send group emails, can you?
You cannot. So if you do need to send emails to a list or a group, we recommend maintaining an account with an email marketing platform. And if you want to kind of integrate the two, Zapier allows for that. When a lead capture form is submitted, you could send that email onto that account.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Just trying to think what other questions I might have. So you've got all your accounting stuff in there. So if you're not using a third party for accounting, is there enough information in here to do your accounting completely?
I think so. It's going to be a little bit more manual, but I found, as I was running my business, I used Dubsado for all of my accounting needs and found my needs were met. Under accounting, you can see a list of your invoices. You can see a list of any transactions. So anytime someone pays on an invoice, that transaction will come up in here. You have also the ability to add expenses. So for me, once a month, I just came in and added, all of my subscription expenses for the month, for all the various software I was using. So you can add those in here. You'll be able to see, I kind of briefly mentioned the category when talking about the packages. You can set up income categories. So, different types of services you have, like, if you do social media and, copywriting and, scheduling and things like that, you can set these up as different categories. Same thing for expenses, and kind of see a breakdown by category. And then we also have some nice visual reports too, like bar graphs and pie charts that you would see on this page.
Excellent. And what about with the address book? Can you group people in the address book, and what are the search capacities like?
So in the address book, you won't be able to group people. This is really just a reference for the client information. You can search by name right up here where it says filter results. You can type in a name or email address and search through your clients that way. If you want to get kind of more into grouping or filtering, I'm not sure who this might be, but we could allow them in. In terms of grouping and filtering, you can do more of that with the project tags. So if you come over to this customize screen, this is where you can add more statuses, and you can add project tags here. And as you add project tags, you can actually, hopefully just add that tag in there, like a sample tag. You can actually tag the project by going into the project and giving it a tag. Mm-hmm. And then here, where it says filter, you can actually select tags by which to filter the project. So you can actually select more than one tag from this list, and depending on which status you're in, you can really kind of drill down and get very specific. So tags are a good way to kind of group projects together, by either year or type of work that you're doing for them. That's going to happen over on the project side.
Yeah. Projects are basically your client anyway, so that's excellent. One of the things I've found over the years, I've used so many different CRMs, and some of them it's really hard to be able to come up with your stats, your numbers around, who's doing what and who's bought what and that sort of thing. So tags can be really, really useful for that. Can you filter based on purchases?
So you could set it up to do that in a sense if you used some project statuses across the top. But we are planning on introducing some more lead tracking capabilities, the ability to actually track conversions and different things. So that's something in our pipeline. Hope we don't give any ETAs on things, but it is something that we are, wanting to add in the future.
Excellent. Okay. All right. I don't know if I've got any other questions. Just see who it was. So Shauna. Hi, Shauna. Do you have any questions specifically that you wanted to have answered about Dubsado? I know you've come in quite late, so you don't know what we've touched on or not. I know I'll probably kick myself because I'll forget one important question. I think you've covered it all really, really well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And if Shauna, if you come up with any questions, please let me know. I can either tell you that we've already covered it, and you can take a look in the replay, not just using it yet. Okay, that's great. I definitely recommend checking out the replay when we can get that to you. But yeah, this is actually a really great time to sign up if anyone is interested. We still have our Black Friday sale going on. So with that sale, you can lock in the rate of $25 a month or $250 a year. And you'll be locked in at that rate until you decide to cancel your account. And then the sale will end on November 27th at 4 p.m. Pacific. So just about 24 hours, a little less than 24 hours left in the sale. And when the sale ends, our prices will be going up to $35 a month and $350 a year. So it's a great time to jump into Dubsado if you haven't yet. If you are just joining Dubsado, we have a lot of wonderful resources for you in our help section here. So I really recommend checking out the Getting Started series. Right here we have a number of videos, and we also have a Getting Started checklist that will go through a lot of the things I touched on in what we recommend to be the best order for setting up your account. And of course, if you still have questions or need help getting set up, we offer free 20-minute one-on-one calls, as many as you need. We just ask you book them only one at a time, but you'll either be speaking to me or my awesome colleague Cameron, and we can walk you through different things in your account. So there are lots of resources to help you get going in Dubsado should you choose to join the family.
Excellent. Now, there is one question. In terms of payments and stuff, so a lot of VAs, as you mentioned right at the start, do monthly packages or hours. With the payment plan, is there the option for subscription?
So you can actually set up a recurring invoice, and that's going to be separate from a payment plan. But if you come into the project and then under invoices, you can go over here to recurring invoices and add one, and you're going to see some different options. So you can set the recurrence up here to send every, for instance, 1 month. You can set the start date, and it will send, in this case, every month on the 26th. You can have that go indefinitely, or you can set an end date. We recommend to set an end date, 2 or 3 days past when that last payment should be made, just to make sure that the invoice will go out. And what this does is, in this case, every month it will generate an invoice and automatically send it to the client. So you'll want to still build the invoice here, and that will go out every month to the client automatically. So that's a great way to handle that. If you are set up with Stripe as your payment processor, your client will have the ability to turn on auto pay when they receive their invoice. So there'll be a little checkbox that they could check off to have auto pay start for them. And that's sort of like a credit authorization, where by checking that box each month, they will still get the invoice, but Stripe will automatically charge their card. So that's a great option there. If you need to ever make any changes to the recurring invoice, you just have to end the recurrence and start a new one. And that's to protect the client, against any accidental charges or things like that. But yeah, you can pretty much set this up and forget it. Have the invoice go out every month.
That's excellent. You mentioned as well showing us what the portal would look like. Do they have options to change what package they're on or anything like that?
They won't be able to make any changes within the portal, and based on in terms of what package they're on or things like that. They'd have to kind of contact you and have that set up that way. But within the portal, if I go ahead right over here, you would just click that little down arrow and select Activate. If you don't set a password, they can log in just with their email address. I'll copy that. And after you've activated the portal, then you can go to the drop-down and click View to open this up. The view for the portal will be the same for you and the same for the client. So it's not like the proposal where there's a little bit different view. It's the same for you and the client. So if I log in, this is what it looks like. Back, in your brand settings is where you'll have the opportunity to change the colors of, some of the tabs and the banner here. You can change this message. You can put in a different logo for the portal. But this is where the client will be able to see if they have any incomplete forms or open invoices and be able to, kind of find that all in one place and pay on that.
Cool. Yeah, that's good. Excellent. Love it.
Awesome. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, we did go over a bit on time today, but with the scheduler recently added, there's a lot, so many features to fit in, but, I really think this is a great option for VAs, with that, one-on-one client work. This, there's really, not much better, nothing better than Dubsado to use.
I absolutely agree. I think it's when Becca decided to set it up, I've been checking out it, since it first launched and seeing how it's been growing, and it's one of the absolute best out there. And I've looked at so many CRMs, and I just love this. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing it with your group.
Right.
Please encourage them. You can sign up for an account, and we have an unlimited trial. So, when you sign up, you can, use your trial account for as long as you'd like. The only limitation is a maximum of 3 clients. So you'll see that, across the top here. But definitely give it a try and, reach out to us. You can use the chat box in your account or set up a call, and we'd be happy to help you out.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Sam. I'm sure we'll have plenty of VAs on the network having a look at this and hopefully signing up soon to get cracking with it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for inviting us, Rosie, and you have a great rest of your day. I'll make sure you get the link to download the replay so you can make that available for your group.
That would be perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Bye.